See if it works. Good day. Good day. Not sure if it's working yet. Let's find out. You are live. That's a good indicator. All right, I'm gonna do this. Where is the chat? No. All right. Hello, everyone. How's it going? I'm Colby Deslick.
I'm Kevin Corkum, and
you're
we
watching,
are live.
And we are live. You're watching Coffee with Colby and Kevin. That works. Both of those alliteration sounds. Absolutely zero people are watching us at the moment, but we just wanted to let you guys know that we are trying to start this new live show, and that we're excited to continue sharing more with you guys. Most of this episode is going to be all about the new podcast.
Yes.
Kevin and I have started. I'm going to bring that down a little bit. I look a little shiny. and
Shiny!
We wanted to kind of start polling people and see what they thought about the podcast that we've been doing. There are 2 episodes out now? I think there are only two
out. We've recorded 4, but there are 2 out.
We've recorded 4. Hello to people that are watching us.
Hello.
Feel free to leave a comment in the chat. Hey, yay! Hey, what's up, Jaleesa and John Gibson? More than 0. Let's go. That's all we're ever looking for. Just more than 0.
Just a little bit more.
Love the podcast. What other topics are you guys thinking of doing? Fantastic segue, Jaleesa. So yeah, the podcast that we've been doing, it's very neutral right now. It's just called the Kevin and Colby Podcast, and essentially all we've been doing is talking about ourselves.
Yeah.
Because it's our favorite topic. And the first one was all about just like what we're doing. Hey, what's up? And what we've been doing, and then the second one that we just put out on Monday.
Kind of our college experience. How we chose writers, stumbled upon it, really.
Yeah. And then this coming Monday is going to be an episode all about
the origin story.
Like how we got into theater, some of our previous training in acting, singing, and dancing, and how we kind of fell into all those different categories.
Little advice about what we think's important, not important, stuff you should focus on, not focus on.
Yeah, so it'll be really good for if you're like a younger viewer that's still in there. That'll be great to kind of see what gaps you need to fill in, but then also like people now in the industry, college and just graduating, because you can kind of see, you can kind of audit your strengths a little bit and see where you fit in. That's what we just said.
That's what we just said. This coming Monday.
So now what we're thinking about doing is we just recorded the 4th podcast, which will be in a couple Mondays, but we thought we'd start pulling people now on what we thought. But we wanted to kind of transition the podcast a little bit into a little more pop culture. And stay with us here. What we want to try and do is talk about art and entertainment and the kind of divide that we have between those two ideas, where something is artistic, that it can't be entertaining, or if something is entertaining, it can't be artistic. And so we wanted to delve into pop culture. And so the episode we recorded yesterday was all about kind of our pop culture,
history.
I guess, another history or origin story. We talked about like musical influences, movies that we like, video games, any sort of fads or trends. We didn't really get into that yesterday. But we want to start talking about those things and looking at kind of the entertainment industry as a whole, and then thinking about how it relates to theater and the arts and where live theater kind of sits within all of that. And we brought up an interesting point yesterday on the podcast, and you'll hear in a couple weeks when you listen, but that art and entertainment need to be heavily integrated. And you look at shows that are on Broadway right now. Harry Potter just opened, SpongeBob, Frozen, all the jukebox musicals, the Donna Summer, the Cher Show, the Margaritaville, all these shows that are coming out. And the reason that they're being produced is because they will already have a following, right? But they're going to be entertaining as well, and they know they're going to sell tickets. And it's an entertainment industry at the end of the day. And I think something that a lot of people in our field don't talk about enough is how do we combine those two things? How do we create art, but also make it entertaining enough so that we can sell tickets and we can make a profit off of it? And
just because something is entertaining or deemed as fluff or whatever it might, by the critical eye, that is still art and still very important.
Absolutely.
In the theater world and movies, TV, everything.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, like the theater aspect of it, of like how we can make theater more entertaining and more, I would say maybe even palatable. Not that theater isn't entertaining, obviously, it's very entertaining, but almost more palatable to the common consumer, right? And then, and what we want to do is kind of analyze other genres of pop culture. Yeah. Music is a big one we want to get into, and like different trends in music. And I think we were talking yesterday, music today is just super interesting and very exciting with all the streaming platforms.
And extremely accessible. So accessible.
Yeah, exactly. So, and we talked about this on the podcast, that it's, because it's so accessible, the market rewards the best music. And so because of that, we have this boom of like such great music. And that's happening with a lot of different platforms too, with movies and TV shows. You have Netflix and Hulu and all these other streaming services where the best show is going to win, you know? And Netflix is producing a ton, and all those streaming sites are producing so much. And then you even come down to YouTube and all these other shows, and if you have an iPhone, you can kind of make a movie, and you can put it up. And if it's any good, you know, the internet will reward what people want to see, you know, or all that kind of stuff. I'm rambling now. Yeah. But we just wanted to start polling,
see what you guys thought,
and seeing what you guys thought about some of those different ideas.
Obviously, it's still going to be extremely grounded in theater. A lot of the stuff that we do, just because that's who we are. That's what our degrees are in. You know, we love it. But we thought that branching out would be fun as well, because we have so many other interests besides theater. And I think that being a theater performer or being in the arts, period, you have to be connected to all of these things, and you have to understand all of these things, where they're coming from, how they're made, all that kind of different stuff that we really want to dive into in this podcast.
Yeah, I think what you just said, Kevin, was very interesting. The idea of that there is, one sec. I'll do that later. I was getting a call, but that. The arts industry, or that people that are in the arts, it's kind of the perfect version of that connotation of there's the arts, you're in the arts, or you're in the entertainment industry. Mm-hmm. And it feels very different. It almost feels a little New York, LA-esque. But the idea that that the arts are something that's to be celebrated. We talk about with like the Oscars. We were talking about like drama versus comedy, things that you would say something would win an Oscar. It's obviously probably going to be a drama, right? Because it's artistic and it's deep or whatever. And then you have something like comedy, which is very entertaining, right? But never gets sort of the same prestige or praise for the work that some other drama things have. And it's just kind of trying to combine the two. Let's read some of these comments now. You might have already covered it in your next podcast, but what are your thoughts on musical adaptations of movies, books, etc., compared to original ideas? That's an interesting question. Charlie, what are you doing? Charlie is down here eating the light. Come here. The light stand.
Come
here. Sorry, one sec. What's happening? No, yeah, it's interesting to see because there are a lot of adaptations, and
I think they're great. I mean, but I think that everything should have a chance to get recognized in a different way. I think books, especially movies to an extent, are really great and can be turned into amazing theater. Just because with books, there's so much content there. There's so much great, there's hours of reading in most of these books. And if you can take all of the best material, throw it into a musical or a play or an adaptation, I think it's just another way for people to grasp the story.
I agree. I think it's... So I wrote a musical in college. It's called Between the Lines, right? And I wrote the story for it. And right now, I'm working on a musical adaptation of a book with a couple friends of mine. And it's a very different process, right? Obviously, like, right now, I have more friends, and they're helping create the process. So, like, it eases up on me because I can focus on just writing music. But when I was writing Between the Lines in college, the original story, there's a lot of work in there. And because... It's much harder to write an original show, and I think that's because there's not a very strict roadmap to follow, right? And when you're working on a new musical or anything like that, you want to be able to play and do things freely. And when there isn't a strong source material, the being able to play means that you can also change the story, which means that dominoes start falling, and it kind of starts to unravel very quickly. You know, that like if I change this one song here, well then this character's arc goes here, and then this, there's just a lot of different pieces that have to fall into place. But working on this adaptation of a book, we have a very strict outline. Like, these are our characters, this is who they are. There's already a very clear roadmap of where we're going and the different points we need to hit. And so it allows us to focus more freely on our particular aspects. So like for me, writing the music, I don't have to think about like, who is this person, like how do we have to shape them, because we already know who they are, right? And so it's just a matter of catching that in a song, right? Or in the book scenes or in the staging, right? And so I think the reason so many books, this isn't maybe like an opinion on it, but I think the reason so many books and plays or characters, because I was going to say SpongeBob and Harry Potter and things like that, I think the reason so many of them are turned into musicals is because they're already such great source material, And
there's an entire universe created already.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's also kind of interesting. It's from the opposite end of a jukebox musical. You're kind of working the other way around. You already have all the music, right? And then it's just a matter of structuring it into a story, whether it's about that person's life or whether it's just a completely different story. But I think the fact that people are able to just pull from something that already exists and then create and then do their particular artistic medium, use their medium to then create something around that is much easier than creating something from scratch. Obviously, I think the musical theater world benefits from original ideas, from new works that are solely built for
the stage.
For the stage, because there's always going to be a slight disconnect, I think, with shows that have previously been a movie or a musical or a book coming from another medium, simply because people already know it from that other medium. But it's just vastly harder. And again, obviously marketing, the fact that Harry Potter already is a worldwide phenomenon. The people that are investing in that show kind of know what they're getting into.
Yeah.
So it's
much
easier
it's
to get put up.
Right.
So it's not to say that people aren't creating original works or anything like that. It's just much easier to do something that is already successful.
And I think there's a place for both. I think there's a great place for both. I
agree.
I think that it's really nice to go to the theater and know what you're getting into, in a way. A lot of people, it's safer for them to spend money on something that they know, right? Like, I've watched 9 million episodes of SpongeBob. Let's go see the musical. There's something to be said in the safety of it as well.
Yeah, in buying a ticket, not even just like becoming a producer on the show. When you're going to buy a ticket, right. When you're a consumer, unless you know something about it already, But it's interesting too, because I've heard recently that I think they're turning Dear Evan Hansen into a book. So it's kind of working backwards in that way. That Dear Evan Hansen was obviously like an original musical, and now it's being flipped around, and it's kind of the reverse process that we are normally used to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pop culture instead of original ideas.
All right,
yeah.
Let's take any more plans for music diary episodes?
Yeah, I think I want to do some more stuff like that. I want to play some more music, and maybe that's going to come out of these live shows. Maybe I'll just sit down and some days I'll just play some music, because I have like so much old music that I've just never shared. Charlie is just licking this desk, and I would love to share it with you guys. But yes, I definitely want to get back into that. Don't forget, Apple has been buying TV shows, so there are more players entering the streaming market.
Yeah.
Yeah, Apple's always getting on that, because they have, what is their thing? Well, they have Apple Music, which is like their Spotify.
iTunes as well. They'll probably come out with a subscription service. I don't know if they're
that is Apple Music.
Yeah.
iTunes.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I think so.
They might be separate. I don't know. I use Spotify.
Yeah, I use
Not
Spotify.
Sure.
Oh my goodness, Char, who is it?
It's the girls.
2 girls walking in right now. But yeah, we're excited. Kevin, what's your dream Broadway role?
my dream Broadway role. There's so many. I think if I had to pick one, man, I guess it would just be anybody in West Side Story. I would just love to do that show.
It's a good show.
Yeah.
Broadway role. Me? I think I've talked about this before. I'd love to play Fiero in Wicked. I love
That's another great
Bobby,
one.
Crazy for You. It's the hardest song I've ever had to learn for... Well, I mean, for an audition, the hardest stuff to learn for auditions, Molly, the hardest thing to learn for auditions is just the amount of material. It's helpful if you, like, know a song already, but a lot of times when you get sent in for a new work or anything like that, they just give you a ton of material because they want to really work with you because they want to find the right person for the job and for that character. So normally they just give you a lot of material. So I don't know whether it's about
I would say
the
that
hardest.
It's probably
it's
about
more
the amount.
quantity
yeah.
of work that you have to do. You have to learn like 3 songs and
a night.
a million scenes. That's more so like the hardest part for auditions and shows.
What would you prefer to work on? An established production like Miss Saigon, or a new production such as Moulin Rouge, or a new or never before seen character?
That's a great question.
That's a really good question.
I've been lucky enough to kind of do both. Not so much the new work. I did a new show, but I wasn't really a character in it. I was like an ensemble kind of character at Goodspeed when we did Chasing Rainbows, but that was so fun. I love working on new stuff, and I think that's just because of my tendencies as a writer, because I like to create new things, and so as an actor, when I get the opportunity to create a character in a new show and also be a part of the process for kind of developing who these people are and how the structure of the story goes, and just being in the room with the director or the writer and the choreographers and all those people, it's great. Molly. So I love working on new shows.
I do too.
But again, there's nothing like being in a big show that everyone knows already, like Saigon or like
anything.
Big show.
Yeah.
What are your opinions on the possible Steven Spielberg West Side? Well, it's definitely happening. This West Side.
They're casting it.
They're casting it. I sent in a self-tape for it. I don't think I got it, but I think it's gonna be great. I'm so excited.
I'm stoked. Yeah.
I think I talked about it the other day. I'm a huge Steven Spielberg fan, and
I trust him in just about everything he does.
And I love West Side. Yeah. I'll be interested to see if they try and do anything interesting with it.
Yeah.
Whether they like take a different path. Molly's laughing at me over there.
I'm not laughing, I'm smiling.
She's smiling because I love doing these things, and so she knows I'm happy. And so.
Why does one of you look so nice and the other?
Well, that's rude. Molly just said that one of us looks nice. Don't make fun of Kevin like that. But no, I'm very excited for it. I don't know when it's going to come out. It's going to be forever. They're still casting it.
Yeah.
So it's going to take a while, but it should be very, very exciting. Do you want to add anything, Molly? Hi, Molly. You can just do half of your face, maybe an ear.
Hi,
That's
I
good.
just got back from Pure Bar.
I don't know
What are
what
you guys
they'll
talking
do.
about?
Because Robin's. My guess is that they'll do.
They'll do some of it, and I think they'll modernize it as well.
They'll modernize it, but they'll. I love when they do movie musicals because they can play with like set and
the way it's
environment
shot,
much. So I think they'll probably do it, but then they'll like
your classic
do parts on stairs, and like they can like run through the streets actually instead of being confined to the 20 by 50. I don't know. I just made up random numbers for how big a stage is. But yeah, Jaleesa says, Molly, what happens when you're sent a package of songs for an audition, but you're already familiar with the song or role? Are you supposed to slightly change how you sing it or tell? That's an interesting question. If you're already familiar with a show and then you are sent audition sides for it, it's always good. Like when I get sent stuff, my agent sends me stuff, and there's usually a breakdown of the character that I'm going in for, and so it'll say like, this person is a 18 to 25-year-old male who does this, and he's a hothead or something like that, right? And so it's good to just kind of read what that is. I think it's always nice to know the show before because you can have a sense of it and just the structure, and like especially if you get sides, you can kind of know like where these fit in the story. It's much harder with a new musical because then like you can read the whole show, but it's still hard if you haven't seen it on stage what this person actually is supposed to be like. So you just kind of have to go off the description that they give you, and then you can always kind of canvass other people if they've gone in for it or if they've gone in for those particular that particular creative team, what they're like, whether they're into more like realistic kind of style or whether they want like a big presentational kind of thing. So it's just a matter of trying to take in all those different factors of like what the description says and who you know the character to be, who's going to be in the room, and if you know like their particular style, usually you for the most part you don't know what they're going to be looking for, or if you know the theater and you know kind of what that's like. But otherwise, you just got to kind of go for it.
You just have to be a good service for the material. You want to make sure that the material is being taken care of.
Yeah. Another thing, something we learned in at Ryder a bunch, Nathan Hurwitz, was always that if you're not giving a particular song, whether if they ask you to just like sing your 32-bar cut or whatever, and you don't have a song that's like perfect for it, you can sing a song that you know really well and just kind of and you can change it so that it fits the show a little bit more. So like if like I don't know what a good example of is. I have more of a up-tempo song or something like that where I'm like very happy most of the time. I sing "It's Love" a lot from Wonderful Town, and but I'm going in for a show and they want that kind of sound, but they want like a kind of squirmish, like scaredy cat character or something like that. I can sing that song in a completely different way and say, "It's love, it's love." Well, who would have thought it? I could completely change the character that I sing. I could still give that sound, but it's singing, "It's love, it's love." Well, who would have thought? You know, and it's just about trying to see what they want, and then you can just tailor any material you have to suit that. Because for the most part, if they're asking you to sing something from your book, they just want to hear what you sound like.
Right. And it's good to pick songs that have more of a blank slate, so you can change it up and do whatever you want with it.
Yeah, if it's so particular, like if you're saying "Life is terrible" and you're going in for, you know, Happy Tappy 42nd Street, you know, it's gonna be hard to modify that. Hopefully, you have some other songs in your book. Things to do to pass the time while waiting at an audition. Scrolling on my phone.
Yeah, I just sit really.
I try not to talk to people at auditions. I seem very rude, but it's just because I just have to focus on what I'm doing. Normally, like, if they've given me sides or songs or anything like that, I'll go through it. But for the most part, I just kind of pace around the hallway and maybe look at my phone. That's just like the worst place to be. And once I get in the room,
it's great.
Fine. Like, it's the same thing with performing. Waiting out in the wings is always far worse than once you're on stage. I'm like, just get me on stage. I'm gonna pass out. I feel like I'm asking so many questions.
How do you build up your book? Good question.
That is a good question, Kevin.
Well, I mean, through voice teachers and accompanists and stuff, a lot of times they'll suggest music to you, but the quickest way that I learned to build my book is to listen to a lot of different things from a lot of different time periods. So go back and listen to more, obscure musicals. Find songs you connect with. Find, your vocal style, or
grab my book.
Good idea. And listen to it. Listen to songs and picture yourself singing them. Do it that way. A lot of good material also could come from seeing someone who is your type on the internet. Like, if I'm looking for, a ballad or something, I look up Aaron Tveit. Figure out what kind of songs he sings. Go for those deep cuts and grab a couple songs from there. That's a really good way, I think, to build up your book. Find people of similar types, research them, find out what they sing, what kind of roles they do. It's a good way to do it. Any tips for finding a good headshot photographer in New York City that won't break the bank? I went to, oh my gosh, let me find it.
A lot of times you can just go to friends. Is Ellie here yet?
She's here now.
Oh, she's here now? Well, but when she moves here. Our friend Ellie does headshots.
Ellie Hurdle.
Someone's asking about how to, cheap headshots.
At Ellie Hurdle Photography.
At Ellie Hurdle Photography.
ELLIE.
I'll write it in the thing.
ELL.
Do we know anyone else that does?
Headshots at the moment?
Ellie, her, HER,
TEL.
TEL.
Photography.
Ellie Hurdle, and then photography.
Instagram.
Just go to her Instagram.
Ellie Hurdle Photography.
You could probably private message her on Instagram and then be like, hey,
I
I know Colby and Molly, and...
She has a photography
She has a photography Instagram. So
At Ellie Hurdle Photography.
at Ellie Hurdle Photography.
I'm still trying to find where I...
Was Kevin talking about actors similar to his type, like Aaron Tveit? Seeing what they sing? Yeah. Oh, so I got my book too. Here's my resume. What I do is...
J. Dimitri. I went to J. Dimitri. They're fantastic.
Oh,
they didn't break the bank. They've got really great shots.
I went to someone, but I broke the bank.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't break the bank. They're great. It's J. Dimitri Photography. I'll put it in the...
You should,
It's a toss-up, too,
Billy
because... And Billy B. Photography. Billy Bustamante, who was in Saigon with me, I was able to get a great deal because I was just in the show with him. He gave us a show discount. I know normally his are fairly...
Spelled that wrong?
I was like, that doesn't look right, Kevin. He's great. He's up in Brooklyn. And he's another great person to go to. I think normally his shots are more expensive, but it's a toss up with headshots because Molly has a good story. I'll just tell it for us. Then she's sitting over on the couch. But that she had like old headshots that she just got. I don't know where she got them. Probably back in Texas. And she used them for a really long time, even with her agent. And she just didn't get a lot of calls. This is like for auditions and appointments and things like that. And she didn't get a lot of appointments with those headshots. She got her new headshots that I don't know if you heard her over there, that she broke the bank or whatever, but she got really great headshots. I don't know if you've seen her post them on Instagram. She's beautiful. But, and she got them, and then all of a sudden, boom, appointment. And it's true. She's doing a little hair flip right now. But it's tricky because, yeah, you don't want to break the bank, but at the same time, like, headshots really do matter. They, a lot of times, are a first and sometimes only impression that you can, to send stuff in. And I know even with just, like, casting calls, like, when you go into an open call, a lot of times they'll just take your headshots and they'll type people out based on your headshot. And that's just, it sucks, but that's kind of like the name of the game. What's the name of the game? That's from Mamma Mia, right? Yeah. Just your girl. What is this book you keep talking about?
It's
yes.
the book.
Great segue.
Your book is basically what you keep
binder.
all of your audition material in.
Yeah, so in college and beyond, they always talk about like building up your book and your rep, which is just short for repertoire. And it's just essentially like all the songs that you know and can sing. And so when you go to an audition, a lot of times they say, make sure you also bring your book if we want to hear anything else. And that's essentially you just bring a giant binder full of sheet music, right? So I'll show mine a little bit, and this is a good way to build out your book too. I think Jaleesa asked that, right? So for me, I have 5 different categories in here, and I also have a little table of contents, if you will.
His book is super organized. Mine is not this nice.
This is my table of contents. So what I have classic songs, and then I have contemporary songs, right? And within classic songs, I have classic ballads, then I have classic up-tempos, then I have contemporary ballads and contemporary up-tempos. And then the 5th category is just like miscellaneous. Like a lot of times I put like funny songs in there, like patter songs. I have The Morning After by Goldrich and Heisler, classic Marianne cut.
Great cut.
I have Soliloquy from Carousel in here because Marianne wanted me to sing that. That is not my song. And Me from Beauty and the Beast, Gaston.
That's a great song.
But a good way is to kind of like think of those different categories, and then be like, okay, well, what do I have in my book right now?
Yeah, I need X amount of these songs.
Yeah.
I need X amount, and figure out what your type is too. Like if your vocal style, like if you go in for a lot of classic musicals, build your book up with that.
Yeah. So, like, because when I went to college, I had basically only contemporary ballads. Because my voice teacher was like, here's another contemporary ballad.
And I had all classic
because they're great and they're so fun to sing. But I don't think I had any of these songs in my book. This whole top classical section. So that's a good way to go about doing it. And even just looking at the year that shows came out, it's really just like kind of filtering things. And then once you go into a section, like if I go to classical ballads, I'm like, okay, well, I've got City of Angels in here. I've got an Alan Menken. I've got a Cole Porter song. I've got a Sondheim song. I've got a Rodgers and Hammerstein song, right? So just trying to hit all of like really major composers as well is a great way to do it. And then so like within each of those, and then when I go to up-tempos, I've got a Leonard Bernstein song, I've got Jones and Schmidt, Berlin, another Rodgers and Hammerstein. So I'm trying to hit a lot of the major composers and lyricists, because if you go into like a summer stock call, right, and they're doing a ton of shows, and they're like, sing something from your book, right, and they're doing Mamma Mia and Frankenstein and Carousel and all these like crazy different musicals. You want to lead with what you think you're best for. Like if you think you would be best for Mamma Mia, you want to lead with a song that's going to be like that.
Yeah. I always say lead with your type song.
Lead with your type.
Lead with like what's going to show your personality off best. That's what I do in summer stock situations. If I'm going in for multiple shows or it's a new show, I'm not exactly sure when it's set or what it's due, just go in and sing your song, show them who you are, and let them make the call. Because if they want to see something else, they'll just be like, oh, great, like, you're perfect for the show, like, we think you're great. Do you have a song like this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because a lot of times, a lot of summer stock companies hire people for the entire summer.
Right.
So you want to lead with your best, right? But they also want to make sure that while you will be fantastic in Mamma Mia, they want to make sure that there's going to be a part for you in Oklahoma and Carousel and all those Rodgers and Hammerstein musicals, right?
I did a big cattle call for Disney, and they were casting literally it was an open vocal call. So they were casting everything on property. So all of the casting directors were there, and I went in and sang my type song. I just went in and I was like, here's who I am. And I, got a call back and ended up booking a job. But, that's, I did the same thing for Universal as well when I went in for things like that. I would just go in and I'd sing my type song, and, you get callbacks based on what they think you're right for and everything else. The main thing is they just want to see who you are in that first audition.
Yeah. Another thing with your book, do not neglect, yes, it's always good to have all your musical theater standards, like standards and now contemporary stuff, but have a pop rock song, go through every decade as well. Right. Have a 60s song, have a 70s and 80s, 90s. Have a Justin Timberlake song in your book. I've been asked for it. People are like, oh, do you have just like a Justin Timberlake song? And I'm like, No. And so now, like I have Queen in here, and I've got other actual contemporary songs. And because it's not just musical theater anymore, a lot of shows just want to hear you sing rock, because a lot of shows are just rock.
Rock, yeah.
And so have all of those different colors in there, and it's just about trying to be as versatile as possible. Yes, my go-to song is not I don't even know, Raise a Little Hell or You're the Cure for What Ails Me, but I have it in here because
you never know.
It's something slightly different, and have a table of contents. The number of times, because it's so helpful, because who's your number one friend in the audition room is the accompanist. And if you have your book here, the accompanist is a writer and music director and everything, Louis Goldberg, amazing, right?
Yeah.
When I'm in an audition, I sing my thing, and they're like, okay, what else do you have? I'm like, okay. I just flip to the front of the book, and whilst I'm going down my table of contents, guess who else is going down the table of contents? The accompanist. And they have probably a much deeper musical knowledge than anyone in the world does, because they're sitting playing musical theater songs all day, every day, and they also know what the creative team is looking for, because they've been sitting in the room and they've been listening to them nonstop.
Right.
So have a table of contents so that they can quickly also see all of your songs, so that they can be like, ooh, sing this. And know all of the songs in your book too, because if you do that, you can't just pick the songs in your book, know all of them.
Any tips for making your resume stand out in a typing situation? Yes. I have two different versions of my resume. I have when I go in for mainly dance stuff, and I have when I go in mainly for principal work. I think it's important to have two separate lineups of your resume, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm going in for a dance show, I'm going to have Chorus Line, Seven Brides, All Shook Up. I'm going to have all of those shows that I was a featured dancer in or did something like that. And if I'm going in for a role or something, I'm going to have all the roles I've played first. It just depends. You can tailor your resume to whatever audition, Keep a couple headshots without your resume stapled to the back, and then if you're getting called in or you're going in for something, use that other resume. It's a great idea to have both.
And it's the same thing with headshots. Have a couple different looks,
right,
and have a couple different resumes as well, because people just skimming through it, the first line they see should be the one that kind of fits what you're going in for the best.
Yep.
Or your top credit, to show them that. Because a lot of times they're not going to read your whole resume. They might see the first couple credits.
First, last. I mean, generally that's kind of what we were taught in school. It's they'll probably read the first two and the last three. or something like that. They usually kind of miss whatever's in the middle.
Absolutely. And if you don't have a lot of credits already, I mean, you use what you got. You gotta use what you got. That's in my book.
Everybody starts somewhere, and everybody gets parts from not having a lot of credits.
There's no shame in having just a couple really good, solid credits on your resume.
Yeah.
Nothing, absolutely nothing. They know you're young. They know you probably just got out of school.
I don't have Broadway on my resume.
They don't expect you to have
I have
million credits.
Regional theaters and Disney and stuff like that, but I don't have anything like massive holding weight in my resume.
And don't try and make it look like there's a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
Like if you have 3 solid credits, put those 3 credits on there and let it be.
Yeah.
Let it be. That's not in my book.
What is your opinion on celebrity castings in Broadway shows? Really good question.
That is a good question.
It's a loaded question, too. I think that for the most part, celebrity castings can be a great thing for the show.
It just depends on the celebrity.
It really depends on their level, and
if they can handle the work,
great,
and the material, fantastic. Because they're going to bring a whole other market to the show, and you want the show to run, of course. So that's why so many people do it. I mean, the market's loaded with it right now.
I mean, if you think about Waitress, when they put Waitress up, I immediately was like, oh, Sarah Bareilles is going to come in for a stint for sure. I thought Jason Mraz, it was possible that he was going to come in too because he recorded the thing and he did. All of those things, I think Waitress is a show that's very suited to it. Yeah, Catherine McPhee was fantastic.
Yeah. So, and it depends on the show as well. Like, it has to be a good matchup. If you're just doing it because the show's dying
and you just need someone to save it.
Putting Christopher Walken in Mamma Mia, like there's just no.
I would see it though. I would see it. I would see it, to be honest.
It's sad because I would go see it, but it's probably not your best bet.
Mamma Mia.
I might be your dad.
I don't know. Your mom and I have a history.
Have a history together.
It's crazy.
It's crazy that way. Now I really want to see it.
I'm casting it for sure.
Maybe we should do it. We should contact him. Is it best to bring your whole book to the auditions? Yes.
Yeah, always.
Just always bring your whole book and know all the songs in the book. I've got 2 separate binders. This is a book of songs that I know, right? I have another much larger book of songs that I'm learning or would like to know, but I don't bring those into the room because if someone asks me to sing that,
screw it up,
it is not going to happen.
Yeah.
But bring your whole book. And a lot of people it does not have to be this thick too. I'm probably lying a little bit. There are probably songs in there that I don't know as well as I should. But it's good to have a really solid book. Have 3 to 4 songs in each of those categories I talked about. That's almost 12 songs, right? So, or around 12 songs. So know 12 songs and have cuts of each of them. Oh, is this your next question?
Best 16 or 32 bar cuts. Really good question.
40 bars to get a whole section instead of awkwardly. Yeah, okay, so the whole 1632 bar cut is not a
life or death
pure science thing, right? It does not have to be exactly 32 bars. All they're looking for is, if it's 16 bars, they just want to hear something real quick, right? If it's not exactly 16 bars, that's okay, right? Essentially 16 bars is kind of like your 30-second range, and then 32 bars is maybe like a minute. Right? So just aim for that, because a lot of songs, like if they're in cut time or something like that, 16 bars is going to fly, right? And that's not what they want to hear. They want to hear like something of slight substance, right? So don't worry if it's 40 bars or anything like that. Sing what makes sense musically and sing the phrases. So for cutting a song, though, a lot of times you want to just kind of sing the end of the song, right? A really good marker is usually if there's like a bridge and then another chorus, right? That's usually how maybe like a song might end, like a good pop rock song or anything like that. And you want to sing like 2 different styles of sections, right? A bridge, which is going to be musically different than the chorus. You don't want to sing like 2 verses back to back for the most part, because you're essentially just going to sing the same thing again with different words, right? And you don't want to sing like a chorus over and over again, right? If you can get 2 different kind of styles or 2 different sections of the song, that's kind of where you want to lead. The other thing about cuts is, I know in my book I have actually have cuts of the song. Where's a good example? So this is my It's Love cut. This is what I sang for our senior showcase and everything like that. So this is not All of It's Love, because All of It's Love is like a full production number in the show. This thing is so confusing. Literally just these 2 pages. As few page turns as possible. It starts, it ends. I have the bell tone here. I've got all of the things written up here, and it just goes straight through the end. Don't have big old X's over entire pages and make the person flip. Actually cut the song. And the way you do it, we should have like a whole thing on this. The way you do it is literally print out the music, cut it, like actually cut it, and then tape it to another piece of paper and then scan it and or copy it that way. And that's why mine always look a little funky. But it's just so much easier when it's just straight through to the end, rather than like get rid of the first ending if that's in there, get rid of, any sort of musical interlude, just cut exactly what you want the accompanist to play, because it's just so much easier for them, it's so much easier for you. And have different cuts. Like in my book, I know I have the same thing with Don't Stop Me Now, right? I've got a 32 or whatever this is cut, and have different incarnations of that. Like if you have a song that you sing all the time, we did juries in school, right? And you would have to have a full song, a 16-bar cut of it, and a 32-bar cut of it, right? And then they would just ask you, let's hear the 32 of this, right? Or let's hear the full song of this. Let's hear the 16 of that. Have it ready. And it's not, you don't have to do that. It's not to say you have to do that for every song. And if you don't do it, it's wrong. Like I have songs in here that I know it just works so well because you can just sing the end of the song. Like when I sing Why God in a lot of auditions, right? And I just have Why God in here. Oh, I'm about to show things that I should not be. What I literally just told people not to do. But for this, that song works so well just singing the bridge, the when I went home before, no one talked to the war, what they knew from TV, right? Straight through, skip the musical interlude, which should be cut out in here.
Bum, bum.
And then just go right into Why God. Where is this? This is not Why God. I was looking at a different song. That's why it didn't work. There we go. Here. So this I sing straight through to the end. And that's a solid 32 bars, right? And it just goes seamlessly. And if it works like that and have all the little markings in there, right? You just want to make it as easy as possible for the accompanist, because it makes it much easier for you. And have all the different stuff ready, because they might just want to be like, we just want to hear a little bit of this. Sing a little bit of that, right? There's your whole book. Okay. I'd love to see a video of you guys how to organize your books and cut music for auditions. That's what I was kind of mumbling to myself while I was going through all this, that we should do a video on that. I think that's a great idea.
I think it is too. Because Casey, my girlfriend Casey, her book is like immaculate.
Yeah. Mine's
not.
I should probably go through my book. Maybe what we'll do is I'll just go through my book one day and we'll just live stream it.
Yeah.
And then I can have like a new song that I need to cut, and we'll do it, because that's a skill a lot of people don't even know or think know.
Don't get taught. Yeah, you have to learn.
And even
Casey edits stuff on her computer. That's how she does it. Through Photoshop.
Yeah, that's another way to do it. If you've got that skill, a lot of times people, they just give you sheet music, and so then you're like, okay,
well I have to. Yeah.
But like me, I have my whole book on my computer as well. I scan every song in. I was much better about it when we were like having to do juries and everything like that, and that's why I think some of those college stuff helps you, because it forces you to do it, because you have to do these little assignment things that are in the real world, things that you should do and they're good for you, but no one makes you do them, and that's why college is good, because they make you do them. And it's much harder to self-manage yourself in that way. But that's a great idea. We will definitely add that to the list of things we want to do. But guys, thanks so much for joining us today for Coffee with Colby and Kevin and any other people. Molly's not allowed on it. And we're excited to keep sharing more. I think I might just start live streaming every morning or something like that, and we love to take your questions and talk about different topics and ideas. Be on the lookout for the next podcast coming out Monday. The podcast drops Monday, and then we'll talk about that. How do you find your songs? Jaleesa, we're gonna put a pin in that question, and we will answer it on the next.
Ruby, hey.
We'll answer it at the next thing. All the podcasts are on this YouTube channel. There are only 2 up right now. The thumbnail is usually pictures of us. If you like the newest one has our college.
Our old headshots.
Yeah, old headshots. We got to find some good pictures for the next couple, because they're going to be little kid picture versions of us.
Yeah.
But listen to them on here.
And let us know what you think about the new direction we're taking, kind of the entertainment podcast, with, talking about everything, how everything's connected, what we want to, all of our interests kind of combined into one.
Absolutely. And if you're watching this and it's not live, you can still leave a comment on the video and let us know what you thought if you want to hear anything else. Otherwise, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. I just think it's so confusing.